welcome along to the Vegan Hour, guys. So wonderful to have you on. So wonderful.
Thanks for having us, Harry.
I'm just going to try and turn up volume. Hold on. Sorry, my
Yes, I've just done the same thing. While you're settling in there, I just want to just rattle off a couple of quick things for people watching. That this is episode 6, Tuesday, March the 20th, as if anyone didn't know what day it was. And of course, the Vegan Hour is sponsored by Vegan Frothers Cruelty-Free Clothing. So get your froth on with the Vegan Frothers. Are you guys wearing it? No, you haven't got Vegan Frothers gear on tonight? No?
We've got our own gear on, Harry.
You got your own, of course. Yeah. Sorry. Forgive me for saying that.
We love Simone though in the Frothers. That's great.
The more vegan merch, the better. Get out there.
Exactly.
Flood the world with vegan merchandise. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm very, very excited to be talking to you guys tonight because there's a lot of things that I want to find out that I don't know about you guys, and also there's certainly a lot of people watching that would like to know more about your story as well. Can you hear me fine?
We can, mate.
Yeah.
Great, excellent, and it's the same. I've got you guys loud and clear here. So what I want to start with. How was your day, by the way? Did you have a good day?
It was good, mate. Business as usual, just plugging away, putting one foot in front of the next and getting it done.
The days just tend to roll into each other, so.
Yeah, creating vegan awareness for the world, eh?
Exactly, just like you here, mate.
Well, what I want to ask you first off tonight is where did the vegan journey begin for you guys? Was it separately or collectively? So can we sort of go back to the beginning and we'll start from there?
We can, mate. We went vegan together on the 26th of August 2011. We were in Thailand at the time. We were working at a detox spa yoga resort, and one of the guests there recommended a vegan video to us on YouTube. We watched that. It was good. I can't remember exactly what it was called.
I think it was
it's like
it was a BBC something. The BBC, yes, short doco or something.
Yeah, it was like 11 minutes long. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But while we were watching that, in the recommended videos on the side of that video was a video titled "Best Speech You'll Ever Hear." And we're like, wow.
I wonder who that might be.
You're going to have to click on that.
Exactly. So we saw it, we're like, an hour, and then we're like, we'll give it 10 minutes.
I remember we said that. We said, we'll give it 10 minutes. Come on, an hour. That's way too long. Mind you, it was rainy season, so it was absolutely pouring, and there was nothing to do but just wait out the rain. So it's not like we had anything else to do for an hour. It was just the ego saying, oh, I'm not going to give it an hour. Don't be ridiculous, Who's this guy jabbering on? What could he say for an hour that's actually worth listening to? Wow.
It was a life-changing hour.
We watched the full hour, obviously. And the Q&A, don't forget that.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's Gary Yourofsky's speech, the best speech ever. So after that, we just looked at each other and went, well,
that's it. We're
that's
vegan.
it.
Yeah.
So instantly.
Instantly. And in fact, that same day, we composed an email and we sent it to everybody in our contacts list and said, look, we've just watched this incredible video. We feel like we have a moral obligation to share it with everybody because it contains information that we didn't know, and we assume if we didn't know it, many others didn't as well. And we, implore you to watch it. And, that's it. We basically started our vegan activism the day we went vegan.
I was going to say we weren't exactly the quiet type, Harry. We didn't keep it to ourselves. We kind of put it out there before. Sorry?
Am I to assume that before you had gone vegan, you were not the quiet type in any case?
That's true.
What gives you that impression, Harry? No, we've always kind of spoken up about things that we believe in, and
well, not always. I think if we would have, I would say from the ashram onwards.
Oh yeah, true.
Basically, from the time we went vegetarian, we started being a bit more vocal about everything.
Well, that's because before then we didn't have anything to be vocal about. We didn't focus on anything outside of ourselves, so there was nothing much to speak up for, really.
Yeah, because we were very self-centered and selfish and didn't care about, much outside of ourselves until we went to the ashram, which in India in 2009, where we started to have, open up our hearts and our minds to spirituality, something greater than just us. And from that point, I guess we found a voice for issues that we cared about.
Yeah, so you went to an ashram in 2009 and you became vegetarian at that point. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it was enforced that the ashram was vegetarian.
Yes.
Of course, again, this is in India. So we were meat eaters before going into the ashram. We had full intention of leaving the ashram and going straight back to meat. We weren't going to be those crazy hippie freaks. And 6 weeks into the stay, because we were there for 3 months, 6 weeks into it, they screened Diet for a New America.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that was the first time we saw anything, because we weren't on social media back then. I mean, it was really Facebook back then. That was the big thing. I don't even know if anything else existed. Obviously, there was YouTube, but we just weren't on anything, and we just had our heads in the sand, and we didn't see anything. We knew absolutely nothing. So that was the first time we saw anything. And again, just like when we watched Gary's speech, we looked at each other and said, right, well, now we're vegan. Well, that happened at the end of the film in the ashram. We looked at each other and went, right, well, now we're vegetarian. So we kind of very, once we get it, and then we just get on with it.
I love that in both these cases, it was documentaries that woke you up. I love that because statistically, documentaries are usually right up the top of the list of the things that change people. So,
seeing is believing.
Yeah. So I love that. That's a lot of people watching tonight too, which is really cool. But then you do.
Aloha,
Kalei. It's been a while. A long time. Kalei, and we met Kalei in Ecuador, in Vilcabamba, when we were living there for a while. That was quite the experience. I still remember our beautiful dinner at your place there, Kalei. Yeah, that was something. Kalei is quite the vegan chef. She made some vegan sushi that night, if I recall correctly.
That's right.
I think it was the first time we'd ever had vegan sushi, and it was damn fine. I still remember it, and that was like probably 4 years ago now or something like that. Maybe more.
She would laugh at our sushi now. We put beans in there. We put everything. It's not even real sushi. We just roll everything
sushi
together.
Burritos, we call them.
Well, that sounds good, but I'm also impressed with your memory of that meal from 4 years ago. That's impressive.
As I said, I think it was a little more than 4 years ago now, Harry, but it was such a good meal. Kalei, really, she can cook.
Yeah, obviously.
We saw Lindy Bell in the chat as well. Hi, Lindy.
Hi, Lindy.
In fact,
Yes,
Harry,
Lindy.
we first met you when we first met Lindy at the same lunch.
At now, I'll run my memory and see how well my memory works. That was at Easy House. Is that correct?
Easy House it was. Very good. Is it called Yumcha? Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had
It was
The dumplings. Yeah.
Yep. It was a yum cha. It was one of my meetups. It was a very big turnout that day too.
That's right. Yeah. So that's when we met you both. And now I think my memory's going to fail me here though, but maybe not.
He always remembers the things that don't really matter, Harry. Let me just say, for 20 years, he'll remember the most random thing. Anything I said to him 5 minutes ago, nah. It's true.
Is it possible, Harry? Is it possible that you went vegan in the year we were born?
Well, I went vegan in 1980. So is that really?
Yeah. Do you remember the date?
No, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I'd sort of kept a note of that. I think it was in the later half of the year, or the later part of the year, but I can't say for certain because, I just I didn't realise it was going to become so significant.
Yeah. No, I remember that because when you said it, when we met, I'm like, wow, that was the year we were born. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I tell you what,
not to make you feel old, but just wow, how incredible to have lived a vegan lifestyle for that period of time. Wish we could say the same.
I'm feeling very old now, but there's a comment there from Lindy says, "Hi Natasha and Luca. I thought we met in Chiang Mai before that," and Dennis says hello too.
Hi.
So,
No, Lindy, we hadn't gone to the festival at that point.
No.
We went the following year, I think.
Or later that year, whatever.
We met in, I think we met at Easy House in September 2014, and the first festival we went to was June 2015. So
I tell
Easy
you what,
House was the first time.
in a battle of memory, you guys win. So,
I have zero memory. No, it's all Luca.
hi, Den, by the way. How are you, mate?
So let's get back to Ecuador. What's veganism like in Ecuador? Just because we were talking about, that a moment ago. So what's it like there? Is there any?
Well, when were we there?
We were there in 2013 and 2012 and 2013.
Yeah, so back then there weren't, Anonymous for the Voiceless wasn't set up. There weren't Cubes of Truth. There weren't Save Movement vigils going on. So it was very different back then. We were the only vegans where we were living. And I know there were a lot of people eating a plant-based diet, but in terms of, being vegan for ethics and doing the whole thing in terms of clothing and products, etc. As far as we knew, we were the only actual vegans. So,
wow. But the plant-based diet was well known, or was at least followed a bit there.
Yeah, I mean, in the community that we were living in, which was, made up of a lot of foreigners. So that's why.
Okay.
In terms of the of Ecuadorians, no, I mean, their diet was so heavy in dairy. It was extraordinary. It was the heaviest dairy-focused diet that we have seen in a very long time, maybe
probably
anywhere.
Since India.
Yeah. But, on the weekend, people would gather in the town square and everybody would be having ice cream and there was lots of milk everywhere. Everyone was just consumed by dairy. So it was really quite shocking to see. Yeah.
And we actually saw local organic milk being harvested. Basically, they tied up the calf and they tied up the mother and they separated them, of course. And we watched as the men milked the mother, and the mother and the calf were sort of, crying out to one another. And it was so, this is what industry paints as local, backyard, organic, grass-fed. And it was so overtly cruel. It was just like this.
But this is kind of like best case scenario as well. So I think it was quite an insight for us as vegans with a strong ethical focus to see this from another perspective, because if you could show this to a non-vegan, they would probably go, wow, this is fantastic, this is best case scenario. And I remember actually we had a great, not so great, but great experience, a great insight. We were, visiting someone at some point, and they had, do you remember the goat? Yeah. They had a mother goat tied up. And she had some little kids. Yeah, I was going to say pups. She had some little kids, and there was one in particular that was
species, right?
No, I'm so bad. She had one kid in particular that was very curious and playful, and this gorgeous little kid came running up to us with, it was you, I, and a few other people. So we wanted to be with the humans, and it was just like, running in between our legs and wanted to sit with us, and obviously we posed no threat to the animal. But Mum, who was tied up a little bit further away in the field, she was crying out. She was freaking out. She just wanted her baby to come here, near her. Yeah. And, we were like trying to send her mental telepathy, like, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah. But
the distress
was incredible.
The distress that the animals were experiencing in both scenarios that we've just described was just so palpable, and it was disturbing, and the speciesism was so rife and wrong.
Yeah. And I think no one else people around, no one else noticed. They're all used to hearing the goats yelling out or crying out. They're used to hearing the cows crying out. But to us, because, we're coming from a different perspective, we've got the Carnus glasses that have come off, we've got vegan glasses on, and we've got our speciesist glasses taken off as well. So it was just looking through a different filter, and it was such a raw experience. Here you are in, rural Ecuador, seeing these animals in, as we said, they're not in a factory farm. It's outdoors, beautiful landscape.
Literally backyard.
Yeah.
And yet the cries are the cries. You know, the mother knows.
The exploitation
over there.
The exploitation was the same.
Yeah, and she obviously didn't trust. You know, she didn't trust or feel comfortable with her kid being around these humans because she was crying out to him or her. If she felt completely okay and trustworthy, then maybe she wouldn't have cried out so much. But she was, you know, really going for it. Not that that's how she sounds, but you know what I mean.
I find it very, very sad that that it is so normalised that, as you say, you know, the people around there just accepted the cries of the mother, and that as you know, that's a normal, usual thing. So we ignore it. So it's that desensitisation. So
we've been using them for thousands of years, literally, and that desensitisation runs extremely deep.
And it was interesting. We had, again, all these memories are coming back now, talking about remembering things from the past. Another insight, because again, you don't see this in the city. You don't see this, you know, coming from this part of the world. I remember we were walking down the mountain one day to, I don't know, go shopping or get some water, whatever it was, and we used to pass a house near us, and the woman, she was a foreigner, and she had, again, goats on the property, and one of them was giving birth, and we saw her give birth. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I nearly passed out. It was everywhere.
That's a good description.
Yes, can you imagine? Stuff everywhere. But it was incredible. We watched her give birth, and these little babies came out, and it was just like, wow. And she was licking them up and cleaning them up, and it was incredible. But we thought, wow, well, you know, she was impregnated so that they could take her milk, goat milk, because they drink goat milk over there. And in the markets, they would actually have a goat tied up. Oh, this is something for you, Harry. They would have a goat tied up in the market and actually milk her in a plastic cup and sell it. So you're drinking raw goat milk in the market as a human being, adult men drinking the breast milk of a goat.
Now, this wasn't this was in another Ecuadorian city.
That was in Cuenca or something.
It was in Cuenca, which another city other than where we were living.
Yeah, I've just put the two memories together, but basically we saw a mother give birth to goats, and we also saw that the reason they are impregnated is the same as what we do in the dairy industry. It's for the milk.
Yes. And we're talking, in all these cases, we're talking distressed animals being used against their will.
Yeah, that's exactly. Right. I mean, you know, they're tying them up for a reason. They're not, the goats aren't coming over and squeezing their own teats and giving you their milk. You know, they're tied up and someone else is doing that for them.
Yes.
So
now,
and the goat milk soap industry, we've noticed, is booming here in Australia at the moment, which is quite disturbing. When you go into pharmacies or you know, health shops, you'll see these bars of goat milk soap. So I think, what did I read something about? It's to do with the kids. Didn't I read something about the soap being related to the kids? I can't remember. Anyway, it's just,
Yeah. Now, I want to read a comment from Walter Beanie, who says, "Hi, guys. We met at the end of the speech from Philip Wallen last World Vegan Day in Melbourne. We then talked a lot about us relocating to Queensland for better weather. Good to see you guys."
The Brazilian couple, I think.
Is it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. What was the name again, Harry?
Walter Pelham.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Walter was the male in the couple, the Brazilian couple that we met. Yeah, they were lovely.
Well, we're testing your memory again. We're going to test your memory.
We met a lot of people that day. It was a great day, World Vegan Day Melbourne. It was fantastic. About 20,000 people. It was awesome.
I feel like I was the only person not there.
I think you were, Harry.
There's always
somebody had to hold the fort on the Gold Coast.
You're 38 years vegan, you're excused.
Thank you. I'll use that excuse.
How many World Vegan Days have you gone to, Harry?
Next question.
Next question.
Look, I'm too busy running vegan life here on the coast. You know, they don't let me off the hook.
Anyway, we also saw We also saw, there you go, Walter says correct. You were very impressionable. I like meeting you both. And I was going to say, Rob Wogg was in the comments there. We also met Rob at World Vegan Day Melbourne. We'd communicated online because Rob has a YouTube channel as well. So over the years we've watched one another, but we'd never met in person until that day. So it was a great day meeting people.
It was, yeah.
Definitely.
Rob says we're legends. He's a legend.
That's awesome. We're surrounded by legends, and there are so many now in the vegan community. It's just so many people, just putting so much effort in. Yourselves included, obviously. So I want to go back to. What was that?
It's the least we can do, which is part of our tagline.
Well, okay, that's good. I want to go back to, Gary Yourofsky was the reason for you going from vegetarian to vegan, and you did it overnight. Can I ask, did you find it easy to give up the dairy?
Yeah, because we were in Asia at the time, and so, dairy is not traditionally part of their diet.
That's true.
It was very easy because we weren't really having dairy that much at the time anyway. We were very much focused on health. So we kind of, really, the only thing we were having was occasionally a bit of egg. So we were vegetarian, but the diet was predominantly plant-based.
Probably as much as, I don't know, would you say 95%?
I was going to say 99. It was very rare that we would have anything, that we would have egg.
Okay.
It was easy. We just didn't make that ethical. Like when you get it, you get it.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, it's like we got it, but we didn't get it yet. And Gary, when Gary talks to you and he looks in that camera and he points that finger, you listen to Uncle Gary, and then you just get it, the penny drops.
Yeah, and when you get it, and that is the difference, I think, between, say, a vegetarian and an ethical vegan, where a vegetarian, I was thinking about this only in the last few days, is more likely to slip out of that and just go back to eating meat. Whereas an ethical vegan is like, there's no way you could push him back in that direction because, once you've got that awareness, you can't unlearn it.
That's right. And the other thing, Harry, you mentioned an interesting point. You said ethical vegan. Now, we find that term, the use of the word ethical in that term to be superfluous because veganism itself is an ethical principle, lifestyle,
foundation,
frame of mind, mindset. It is ethical in and of itself, and therefore it doesn't require the word ethical put before it. Otherwise, it's just a plant-based diet because obviously, like for example, you not going to the zoo. That's not going to benefit you in any way. So you're only doing it for someone else. As in, you're only choosing not to go to the zoo because of the animal exploitation.
Therefore, that has an ethical foundation. That decision to not go to the zoo has an ethical foundation. So we've been thinking about that quite a bit. And it's interesting how you start to become more aware of your language, I think, and just...
Yes.
You start to, what am I saying and what does that actually mean? And we think a lot.
Which is good because we live in a world where a lot of people don't think a lot. So it's great that you do think a lot. And also, I absolutely love what you've said there, that the use of the word ethical in front of the word vegan is superfluous, that the word vegan encompasses the ethics. So beautifully said. Thank you very much. I've learned something. It's been worth it. I can quit the show now and go, I've learned something tonight.
No, and we still catch ourselves saying ethical vegan, and I think it's used a lot because it kind of, people are familiar with that term, and it kind of distinguishes again, ethical vegans from plant-based eaters.
But we should just use the terms as they're defined: plant-based diet and vegan.
Yes.
And the definitions are significantly different enough to not need to say ethical vegan in order to differentiate someone who's vegan and someone who's just eating a plant-based diet.
Agreed, and I definitely am going to be from this point onwards more aware of that myself when in my use of that. So that is excellent. I want to get to a comment there from another comment from Walter that just came up. Said, "How nice. Gary was not the person that opened the vegan doors for me, but he did shut the doors behind me, never turning back."
That is awesome.
That's good. That's a comment. That's the best comment so far.
Yeah. That's
good.
And I also wanted to say hi to Bella More. She
Yes.
commented and said she was watching before, and Belle's been a big supporter on our Instagram account for a long time.
Yeah.
So hi, Belle.
Excellent. Now, so let's sort of get on to that, talking about how did you go from, it was 2011, wasn't it, when you became vegan? How did you go from there to where you are today with this massive following across many different, forms of social media and that? I mean, obviously a lot of it's to do with the fact that you're both very good-looking people, but seriously.
Harry. Compliments will get you everywhere.
Everything
That's
was
how I got through high school. So so how has it grown? What have you done to achieve that growth and that following?
Where do we start? So
it's all right. We've got another half an hour.
I guess I mean, as Luca said, when we went vegan, we were still very much in the yoga scene. We were teaching yoga. Yeah, and God, what did we do? We started to run. Actually, we ran some vegan yoga retreats in Bali and in Thailand and in Australia as well. And so it was a week-long, yoga retreat, but it was completely veganized. And because we had these gorgeous people sign up for a week, can you imagine people spending a whole week with us? Well, they're about to do that in LA, so I should bide my time there. I'll drop myself in.
Poor souls.
But basically, it was a beautiful chance for us to just vegetate. So we put together some presentations where we would...
one on ethics, one on nutrition, and one on the environment, or ethics, health, environment.
Yeah, and then there was another one kind of like on...
Thoughts and emotions and spirituality,
just getting a little deep with them. And so that was great because we really love communicating, obviously, with people, and we're talkers, and it was just wonderful to have this audience. And that was kind of our first shot at just talking and explaining and helping these people understand.
Joey Carlstrom.
Joey's there. Joey, how are you?
So that was fantastic, and we loved that. But you know what we realised, Harry, was we'd put in, it takes so much effort, time and energy to put these retreats together. Talking about, say, at least 6 months of planning and working on this. And then you've got these people for a week, but it was only, say, around 12 people. So it was so much time, energy and effort into such a small group of people. And then
we realised hey, Fiona.
Then we realised everybody is on these stupid little devices. They're all swiping. They're doing their swipey thing. We got to be on that screen because we never had a phone. Yes. I know we sound like dinosaurs now, but we never had a smartphone.
No, we thought
back in the old days, kids.
We thought Facebook was stalkable. We still do, and it's a tool used by the CIA to keep tabs on people. In fact, we heard some rumor. I don't know whether there's any validity to it.
Don't get into your conspiracy theories.
I never looked into it, but apparently when Facebook came out, the CIA was able to halve its workforce or something like that because everyone was keeping tabs on everyone for them.
It's nice to know they're providing a service for the CIA.
Yeah. The point is, we noticed that everybody was on their devices, and we thought, well, look, if that's where the majority of people are, then we need to be on that screen because they're looking at something, so they might as well be looking at us and hearing vegan education. So that's when we thought, social media is the way to go.
We could be more efficient without time.
Yes.
And that's all it
Greater
was.
reach.
We thought, well, let's just do what we've always been doing, which is yapping away, and let's just put it on this little device where everybody looks at, and that's what we'll do. So we did it, and here we are.
I love the way you so succinctly went from nothing to 170,000 followers, just like that. That's easy. Anyone can do it.
It's been a long road. It's been a tough road. It takes a lot of damn work. I tell you what, if you're not 20 and It's a lot harder the older you are, Harry.
yeah.
In fact, our 4-year our 4-year YouTube anniversary will be on April 14. So that's what, is that next month?
Yeah.
Yes.
Less than a month away.
Yes, about 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Yeah.
The first year we grew the channel to 4,000 subscribers from 0.
In the first, wow.
In the second year, we grew it from 4,000 to 100,000.
Wow.
And what happened in the second year was that we made a response video to a big YouTube beauty guru, Carly Bible, and at the time she had 4.2 million subscribers, and she now has over 5 million. So she's reaching a lot of people, and she made a diet update video for her audience
with her boyfriend Brett Cap.
That's
the two of them did a couple video.
Yeah, so we made a response video to their video, and
what's he saying? Tash, I'm just reading the comments. I'm getting distracted.
Yeah.
Joey says, Tash
Joey's
and Luca
putting heaps of comments in there.
Shout-outs when I first started online. They were so supportive, and I won't ever forget that. Oh, you sweetheart.
We met them then, we meet them now, brother. Yeah, you earned every bit of all of it.
Yeah. It's a team effort, so we all got to just pull together and help it all grow.
And what an amazing team there is now. Isn't it fantastic?
Global team.
Yeah.
It is the most amazing global army of vegans who are just smashing it on all fronts, and it is exciting to be a part of.
Yeah.
I don't often swear live, but it's fucking awesome.
It absolutely is, Harry. I mean, this must be the most exciting time for you, having been vegan 38 years. Obviously, it's never been as big as it is right now. It must make you smile from ear to ear.
Yeah, you were just breaking up a little bit there, but hopefully you're back with us again.
Okay, we'll just say it must make you...
Yeah. Are we back?
We're back?
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, you're right. You were saying that basically
it must make you smile from ear to ear.
You know what? It actually brings tears to my eyes thinking about it. It's because I still pinch myself. It's just amazing for so long to have really, and I've said this many times before, but for me for so long to really have just been, sort of hiding away from the world because I couldn't stand the way the world was, basically, And now, because of people like yourselves and because of people like Joey and so many activists and so many, people that have just gone out there and pushed the envelope, I don't feel like I have to hide away now. I can wear my veganism with pride, it's just, and I can do my little bit as well. What a world to be in now. So it's really been worth the decades of wondering if it would ever get any better, So,
and I'll tie in what you just said there, Harry. I'll tie it in because I know we cut off your story with Carly Bible. So we made a response video to her and her boyfriend Brett, responding to, because they were looking at health, right? And that's how a lot of people come to it, which is, it's awesome because it just opens the floodgates for all the science to come in. And so we made a response video, not thinking she would watch it. Well, not only did she watch it, but they did more research. They went vegan. She made a video announcing she's going vegan. She featured, a bit of us. She featured a bit of Freely, who also made a response video. She featured Gary Yourofsky. Would you believe she actually showed some of his video, the ethics, and it was like then the floodgates just open. And so that's, you were asking, how did the channel, boom? That's what it was.
Yeah, tens of thousands, literally, of her subscribers came over and subscribed to our channel to learn more about veganism. So, but
wow.
How many other response videos we made? Like there have been so many, and it only takes one, and many of them have had very successful outcomes. But you get one big one like that, and it's like possibilities are limitless because these people are so big. And now Brett, who I don't think they're together anymore, but anyhow, he does amazing videos on his channel that are all about veganism. He's actually got a vegan hat that's just come out. So he's
more vegan merch.
Merch.
Yeah, you know the Visa card symbol.
Yes.
He's replaced the word Visa with vegan in the exact same symbol. So that's his entrepreneurship, and that's how he's spreading the message. He's into bodybuilding. So he's sharing the benefits of a plant-based diet with his audience. Yeah. It's just fantastic. Yeah. So it's the ripple effect, isn't it? The ripple effect of each of our actions.
Yeah.
You cast a stone into a pond and you just have no idea the extent of those ripples.
I love how well that worked.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it normalizes, how you were saying.
You go.
What that does is it normalizes veganism. So after decades of, being vegan, but you've kind of shied away from it, now it's just become the normal thing where we have all these celebrities, people with big names, whether they're on television, on the, cinema screen or on social media screens, big names, normalizing being vegan. And that is the game changer, because it's no longer just you're this closet hippie freak. It's now normal to care.
Yes. Who's that celebrity? Who's that celebrity that recently went vegan? That's incredibly huge celebrity.
Who I Am from the Black Eyed Peas, maybe.
It was someone else.
Neo.
I'm not sure. Who?
Neo, singer. Don't make us sing, Harry. We did that once on the channel.
I won't do that. Anyway, I was having a conversation with a friend about that, and how I said that was fantastic. That you've got a celebrity, people will follow whatever they're doing, whether they're wearing a certain fashion or whatever. And this celebrity, whoever it was that I can't think of the name of, is Beyonce.
Lindy said Beyonce. Yeah, she didn't go vegan per se, but she did make several vegan-related posts in a row about a vegan food service, I think, that she's got going, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's like Plan 22, maybe? We haven't looked into it.
Anyway, she put the word vegan out in consecutive posts to 112 million people on Instagram.
We'll take it.
That is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
112 million people. Wow. Incredible. Okay, so we've. I've got a few other questions here. I want to sort of let's head off in a slightly different direction now. Now let's talk about, because I'm mindful of the time, and actually the time is going quite quickly tonight. So
we started late, so we're happy to go over a bit if you need to, Harry.
Yes, definitely, and I'm sure that people watching won't mind at all. They'll be happy to hear more from you. So, so you're going to tell us about what's happening in the US. You're heading to the US. Is it next month? Is it April?
It is actually, yeah.
Exactly 3 weeks today.
That's right. 3 weeks today. We'll be up in the air, and we're going to co-host a vegan-friendly tour of LA. So a former colleague of mine from 10 plus years ago reached out to us last year and said, hey guys, I run a travel company, and when I was on a tour recently in LA, I found that I was taking the group out to a lot of restaurants and they were accidentally vegan, because LA is the vegan capital of the world, and so they're just a plethora of vegan restaurants, and they just found themselves happening across vegan restaurants. But that got him thinking, maybe there's some scope here to offer a vegan-friendly tour of LA. And he said, now, who do I know is vegan? And he'd been seeing us on social media. And so he reached out to us. And we're like, yes, absolutely, because this is a message that we really want to spread and share with people. We don't need existing non-vegan businesses to go out of business. We just need them to change their product line. We will bring about change, the change that we all want to see, a lot faster if we simply encourage the existing non-vegan businesses to change their product line. So we're like, wow, this is an opportunity for him to introduce a vegan-friendly tour. If this goes well, maybe the next tour he does that was going to be a non-vegan one, he'll make it vegan as well. So we're like, absolutely, sign us up. So
so we'll be doing that. That's the first thing we do. And then once that's finished, we're going to move on and basically do like an activism tour throughout the US. And we've got about, I think it's 15 cities lined up. So we're going to do a meetup in each city, followed by an activism workshop, and just kind of what we want to do is bring our audience together, along with other people that maybe just want to come along and say hello and are interested, but bring people together and get them a little bit more active, right? And so then we're going to get some tools and information about how do you do this, and then invite them to join us in the coming days to do activism with us in their city. So we're going to do a cube, Anonymous for the Voiceless Cube of Truth. We'll go to a Safe Movement Vigil, and there may be anything else like a DXE action or whatever else the community is doing. So it's just, you know, sometimes people need like a middle person that they know. They've heard about all these activist activities and they see it on the screen, but we've noticed so many people messaging us saying, I'm scared, I'm not strong enough, I don't think I can do that. And so we're like, okay, what about if we're there with you and we do it together? Because
we have a younger audience well, I shouldn't say that. We've got an audience of all age brackets, but a large majority are aged, say, 17 to 34. And particularly a lot of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds comment. And we often hear that comment from them that they just don't feel like that they could do it themselves. But we want to, you know, motivate, educate, inspire them to let them know, as Philip Wallen says at the end of his speech, he talks about a passage from a Winnie the Pooh book that his mum used to read to him. And that one line says, you know, you're stronger than you think you are. You know, something so simple like that, but so profound. People are often unaware of their inner strength and intestinal fortitude that they do have. And so we want to make people aware of that and help them harness it so that we can grow this vegan activism movement. Because when we rocked up to World Vegan Day Melbourne last year, someone had done this beautiful chalking on the ground. I think it might have been the Animal Activist Collective in Melbourne, an outreach group there that does Cubes of Truth. And it said, and it was very appropriate because there were 20,000 vegans there that day, you've got to remember. It said, you know, vegans represent roughly 1% of the world's population, let's say. Yeah. And only 1% of that 1% are active. If vegans aren't going to speak up for animals, then who is? So we want to make people aware of that. And if you think that 1% of 1% is achieving so much right now on a global scale, what if all of that 1% were to become active? How much faster would we achieve the change that we all want to see?
I just think it's time to go next level. You know, as we said, it's going to be 4 years that we've been on social media now this next month. And a lot of that, it's always had a very strong ethical focus or foundation, but we did use health to draw people in, and that's all good and well. That is awesome. You know, that the food part is so important, because the practical side of it is, okay, I'll go vegan. Well, what do I put in my mouth 3 times a day? You know, you've got to do the practical.
There's no escaping that practical aspect.
So the food stuff is important.
And the fact that most people are inherently selfish, hence the health aspect is going to appeal to them more likely first, as opposed to the altruistic motive of the animal.
That's true. But after 4 years of being on this screen, it's like, okay, guys, now we got to take it next level. Right? We're still going to do the food pics. You're still going to know what we eat in a day. It's literally the same thing as we've eaten for the last 4 years, but we'll still show you that. But we also need to take that next step and start doing a little bit more. And I think people are very scared. And this is the thing, Harry. It's okay to be scared. We were scared too the first time. I cried. People think, oh, but I'm going to cry. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Yes, you are. And that's okay. We don't have to be emotionless robots that are like, you know, we're soldiers, but soldiers can have feelings as well.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, so well said. And I think what also occurred to me with what you've said there is that you're amongst people that would understand if somebody is feeling emotional. It's not like you're amongst cold-hearted people that would sort of rib you or whatever. So
yeah.
I think that's important.
What scares a lot of the young ones away, Harry, is many of them have perhaps made that ethical connection with the animals, and as it happens with most people who do make that connection, there's a period of grief where you're like, what was I contributing to unknowingly, unwittingly all this time? I'm aware of the enormity of it now. I feel sick to my stomach and soul. And, people often, have a little breakdown, a little meltdown, and then they put themselves back together. But then they're very hesitant to ever...
They don't want to fall apart again.
Right. So the thing is, it's okay, though. You go to a vigil and you're connecting with the animal eye to eye, face to face, and there's something that you can't put into words. So you're basically seeing someone on death row, and it does shake you to your core, and it should. It absolutely should. And the point is, just as the person, what we want to make people aware of is, who are scared to attend a vigil, for example, just as you broke down when you went vegan because you made that ethical connection, and just as you had the strength to put yourself back together again, and you were a stronger person for it, thereafter the same will be at a vigil. You may break down, but when you put yourself together again after, your resolve is 10 times stronger than it was before. It's like you're reinvigorated again, and you can see the urgency. That's what a save vigil does. It brings the urgency to the forefront of your mind, and you're like, you know what? I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. That being there that I just connected with is depending on me, and if I don't want to see any more beings in that scenario, then I've got to be more vocal. I've got to get more active. I've got to do something more. So it sparks an activist within a vegan.
Yeah.
Yes, I've also noticed that. I've noticed that with my vegan friends, that once they've got into activism, there's that sense of urgency then starts to come through. Like obviously we all want the world to go vegan overnight. We want to end the suffering. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
It is.
But yes, definitely what you've said there is a really good description of the experiences. And if what you're doing is fantastic, in helping people to be able to sort of just step up a little bit, so that they're helping the animals more and reaching that goal of ending the suffering sooner. Lindy says, I felt like a load was lifted off my shoulders when I went vegan. And yes, a lot of people say that as well. And what you're talking about here now is next step from there. So
it's funny, actually. I know a lot of people say that, and it's true. And I will say this, though, it does feel like you lift one load off your shoulders, but it does feel like another load is put on, because then you have a responsibility to start educating others and taking more action. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Good point, Natasha, because with awareness comes responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I wanted to add, actually, because so many people feel very helpless as vegans, like, what can I do? The problem is so big. It's just, I can't cope with the enormity of the situation, and it makes me feel very depressed. That's the perspective that a lot of people come from. And you would think that, as Luca described, attending an activist event like a vigil, for example, would be so traumatic and so difficult that would push you further and deeper into that feeling of distress and depression. Despair. Thank you. But there's something else that happens. So it's all about perspective, and you're probably going to experience all of it. Again, this is just the human experience. But what does happen is you start to feel like you are being more productive for the movement. You actually start to feel like you're contributing more. It does start to feel like, okay, the problem is huge, but I am doing something about it more than just not putting animals into my mouth. And that's a wonderful way to lift your spirits, because the power is, everything is on, again, social media. So it's not just you attending these events. It's about you pulling out your phone and putting it on your social media. All you got to do is live stream. And the beauty of it is, the people who you're friends with, say on Facebook, for example, They are friends with you. So you are the middle step between them sitting in their home on their phone and the animals. You are that middle.
You're connecting your friends to the animals.
So you're very, very important there. And so, you know, it's important for you to put the camera on you and show them, connect with your family and friends who might be watching. Turn the phone around, show the animals. Continuously talk as you're live streaming so they can hear you. That's a familiar voice. That's my niece, that's my friend, that's my colleague, that's my daughter.
Yes.
I respect them, and therefore subconsciously I'm going to give some level of respect to what they're showing me right now.
Even if I don't like it, even if I only stay on for 30 seconds, what you're doing is you're letting them know that you care enough to be showing it, and it's important enough for you to take time out of your day to put this on your social media. And it just plants that seed that something else is going on beside the rubbish that we focus on in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, you were one person at that vigil, but you might have 500 friends. You might have 1,000 friends. You might have 2,000 friends on Facebook. All of a sudden, your reach is now exponential because the number of people that your friends that watch you, maybe they share it, and then their friends who you're not friends with see it, and all of a sudden you've got that massive ripple effect again. So one person attending the vigil has the potential to reach thousands of people.
And we have to remember that the goal is not to turn every single one of those people vegan. I mean, ideally, yes, but realistically, that's not going to happen. All we're doing is we're adding to their point system, we're planting seeds, and so eventually they'll remember, oh, yeah, so-and-so, that person that I'm friends with on Facebook, they showed me some of that. I was just editing a video, actually, that was from an outreach cube that we did a couple of weeks ago. I was having a conversation with a hunter, and, you know, he was like, this, I'm not doing it, blah, 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 no, guard up. Well, as it turned out, he's seen all this footage on Facebook all the time. He was a lovely guy in the end. His auntie's actually vegan, and he ended up taking the card at the end and promised me. Now, I've just told you what the video's about, isn't it? Oops. I ruined it. Bugger, we can't cut this, it's live. Shit. I won't be able to troll that one, will I?
You're going to have to go back and re-edit it now.
The point is, it was just about planting seeds, and what I discovered in that conversation is that he had so many other seeds already planted, so many other vegan points added to his, 100-point system. So it's not just that one person is going to have a conversation with him and turn him vegan. That pressure has to come off the individually. It's the totality of the movement all working together, doing our thing, and that's what gets people there.
Some absolutely great advice there about, the activism side of it and about the points adding up and that as well. Fantastic. And I just want to, before I read these comments, I just wanted to...
The points. Oh, no, go on, Harry. Sorry, mate.
No. Luca, what were you going to say about the points?
I was just going to say, Fiona says they love the concept of the point system. And we first heard about the point system from Joey. He explained it to us last year when we got together and did some activism together in Melbourne. Or was it up here in Brisbane? We did both, so I can't remember now. But and Joey was telling us the origins of that 100-point system come from Israel. I think. So it's a fantastic concept. And also Claire Mann, she has a similar concept. She calls it a continuum of awareness. So, and it goes from 0 to 10. So you might be having an outreach conversation with somebody who is, a hunter, closed-minded, meat is manly, bacon though, and perhaps they're 0 on the continuum of awareness. And then, someone else might be at a 9 where they've been a vegetarian for a long time and you've just shown them, the reality behind the dairy and egg industries, and they made that connection with the animals over the meat at some time, and now they're starting that, they're about to make that connection with the dairy and the egg industry animals. So, a continuum of awareness and the 100-point system, they're the same thing. But,
Fantastic. There was, I want to read a comment there from Matt, but just before I do, I want to just add to what you were saying there, that when you're talking about how, I'm going to use my words, how people feel empowered when they're doing activism and that, and it occurred to me that what's happening is it's shifting a person away from thinking about themselves so much and getting them into service for others, service for the rights of animals. And, that's where we can find a core value of happiness in that service towards others. And yes, I've seen that with activists, the change and the way that they just feel that life has meaning now because they're doing something other than selfishly for themselves. So that's, yes, fantastic, but fantastic advice you were giving there too with that activism. I loved it. I just want to read this comment from Matt saying, "G'day, Mr. Harry. I'm Mr. Harry, not just Mr. Harry." and Tash and Luca. You guys aren't Mr. Tash and Ms. Luca yet, but I mean, sorry, I got it the wrong way around. Anyway. Anyway, it's awesome doing so much activism with you guys. Keep up the great work, legends. Well, you guys are the legends.
Thank you, Matt. Matt's a lovely guy. We spent a lot of time with him, being active here in Brisbane.
Incredibly active bloke, as is Fiona, who's commented below him there. Basically, I'll tell you what's inspired us a lot, Harry. We've obviously all been inspired by well-known vegan activists like Joey Carbstrong, James Aspey, Earthling Ed, and Tal Gabor in Israel, and many others. But what's really inspired us since returning to Australia late last year is connecting with people like Fiona and Matt and many others who don't have the largest social media platforms in the world, but they are so dedicated and so committed to the animals and activism. It uplifts and inspires us.
It's been beautiful. I mean, the amount of times that we've come home from an event and we've just got in, you're exhausting. It is exhausting, especially when you've got all the cameras and the equipment, and it's we get home, we drop our bags, and it's we just look at each other and say, geez, this is incredible. It really just gets you in the feels.
Yes.
It's what we're doing is great, but just that community feeling.
The community is what will see the change happen, because the strength in the community, it amazes me. Really just it's happening locally, it's happening globally. And there's different variations of the way the community works depending on the country that it's in, and that but it's so inspiring. So it's really, really wonderful. I wanted to ask you, because we've been talking about activism, do you have a preferred style of activism, or do you find that there are different forms for different situations, I guess?
So we actually really enjoy the variety, Harry, of attending Save Movement vigils, Anonymous for the Voiceless, Cubes of Truth, and Direct Action Everywhere, Disruptions and Actions. Because each offers something different, each is unique in its own right, it's each a unique experience. It provides, as activists, variety, and of course that's the spice of life. They're also different mediums and avenues that are going to appeal to different people and their personality types and what have you. So it's really great that we have those three leading organisations that have a global presence now with local chapters all over the globe. I mean, you're talking, Anonymous for the Voiceless is now present in almost 500 cities around the world. Think of that for reach. That is absolutely, it's like 490 something.
In 2 years.
Exactly, in 2 years. So there you go. Yeah. Exponential growth. So we loved partaking in all of them, and we also like seeing the same activists in our local community also enjoy partaking in all of them.
I think that the Save vigils are very, very important. I think just bearing witness it kind of takes it next level. It's one thing to have conversations with people and look at things through the screen, and that is obviously extremely important and fantastic to do. But I think something very much moves and shifts and develops inside of you when you go to a vigil, and nothing can really prepare you for that. We watched plenty of videos of that experience before we went to our first one. And, we've gone to so many this year, and my hand still shakes. The camera is always shaky. There's nothing I can do to kind of just tone that down. I think it's getting better, but there's just there's a realness to it. And I'll give you an example. I used to be a journalist many years ago, my previous life, and I used to make mini kind of like mini documentary, like features. It was for radio, so a radio feature. And one of the stories I remember doing was about Holocaust survivors. And this was back in Melbourne, and I went along and met some Holocaust survivors. And it absolutely freaked me out because I was sitting next to this very old woman, and she had her sleeves rolled up, and I saw the tattoo on her arm.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, holy shit, this is history right in front of me. This is someone who has experienced and witnessed and gone through everything that I've read, that I've seen on a screen. This person has experienced it, lived through it, and has come through and is right in front of me. This is history alive. Yeah. And that totally freaked me out. I don't know if I'm describing it well enough, but basically
describing it brilliantly.
When we went to our first vigil, I had the exact same thoughts and feelings. This is a survivor right in front of me. This being has survived the camps, you know, the factory farms, the camps, whatever you want to call them, and they are being transported to their death, to their execution. And it was the same feeling in me. I am witnessing a survivor right in front of me. This is a piece of history, and nothing prepares you for that. But it changes you on the inside. And I think after we started attending vigils, you know, our videos changed on our channel. We were supposed to record a mukbang, which is an eating show. It's very light and happy, and hey guys, and it was like, we just can't do this shit anymore. We couldn't bring it. It's coming from another place.
Yeah,
it's necessary, and we will continue to do them. But what you're saying is the juxtaposition of how we felt at the Say Vigil with what we were supposed to bring to this eating show video. We just couldn't. We couldn't. It was difficult.
Yes.
It was difficult.
Something had.
There's no
changed.
doubt. There's no doubt what Fiona just says there, very powerful. But yes, what you're describing there is the reality being brought home right in your face sort of thing, and it changes you.
And I think that's really, really, really necessary. I just can't emphasize that enough for people, for all vegans. It's just, you have to kind of do it at some point, sooner rather than later. Because everything changes from there, and we need that.
Yeah, it instills that urgency. Yeah. It sparks that fire, and it says, vegan is not enough.
Yeah.
Veganism is not the moral baseline. Vegan activism is the moral baseline.
Yeah. That's why we say it's the least we can do. It's the least we can do is not pay someone to kill babies for us to eat. It's not the most. It's the least. We've got a lot more to do after that point. And so that's where this US tour that we're doing, full circle, that's why this US tour that we're doing is so important, because we've felt it, we're moved, we're so inspired by what we've done in the last 6 months. It's like, right, time to hit the road and get other people on board. So that's
I want to get to a comment there before it disappears. Paige, who was on my show in June, said, you both helped educate my husband. Thank you. I'm already vegan, and sometimes they need to hear it from others.
You're welcome, Paige.
Walter says, Paige is from what's it called? The whole connection. She is the one that's actually organised the vegan cruise later this year in Australia.
Wow! Good on you, Paige. Fantastic initiative.
We'll be hearing from her in June. I think when is she? June 12th, I think. Yes. So Walter says, Brisbane has been very active lately. A couple of Friday nights ago, there was a disruption at an open area with restaurants where people held signs up walking around, and also recently the disruption at the stadium, at Suncorp Stadium last Friday. You guys were probably there.
We were at the food court, or it was along the promenade here in Brisbane, where there are restaurants and eateries all along the promenade. And Natasha's been editing that video today, actually, Walter, so that'll be coming out on the channel soon. I didn't know, was Walter there? I didn't mention in the comment, but there were a lot of people there, and it was very powerful movement.
It was a good night.
Yeah, Walter doesn't mention in the comment if he was there, but yes, it's definitely, I've noticed it has stepped up. Eagle Street, Jason says, was where the disruption was at.
That's the one. Jason is another big supporter of our work, and we really appreciate your work, Jason. And we went to a vigil together, actually, with Joey and Jason and Matt at one of the JBS slaughterhouses here in Didmore last year. That was the first. No, actually, we'd met Jason before in Thailand as well. So we got a mutual community going on here, Harry. It's great. It's great.
Well, Jason's one of my mates too. I love Jason. He's a good bloke. So there was something else there I wanted to ask you was. Okay, so we've sort of covered the. I know we've gone over time now, but I don't care. We've covered the basics of what's happening with the US activism tour there as well. So that's.
Harry, could I just interject before I lose this train of thought? Just to round off the activism, you mentioned Paige has started this vegan cruise here in Australia, that'll kick off later this year, I think you were saying?
Yes.
So we've been talking about traditional forms of activism tonight. So, Save Movement vigils, Anonymous for the Voices, Cubes of Truth, Direct Action Everywhere disruptions. They're more traditional forms of activism, But True. Activism takes many forms, and some people can't or choose not to engage in the more traditional forms, and they can offer and bring something else to the table. So, for example, what Paige is doing, in our books, that is a form of vegan activism, because if Paige was just vegan, then she would just live a vegan lifestyle. No one may necessarily be aware that she's even vegan. She might just remain tight-lipped about it and what have you. But by actually taking the initiative and taking the action to create this vegan cruise, which in turn is going to help create more vegans, that is activism. So what we want to do is encourage everybody to contribute actively in whatever way they can lend their skill set to this movement. It doesn't have to be solely in those more traditional forms.
No, that's
well said. And Paige, as you've been saying that, says that yes, it is her contribution to the change we desperately need. And the cruise is on October 20th to the 29th. And Paige, please put a link to the cruise if you could there as well, so that people that aren't aware of it can click on that and get more details. So, but yeah, Luca, very well said there. That's I totally agree. There are. And James Aspey will be on the cruise, Paige has said. So there's the best.
All the more reason to go.
He's just cruising all over the place, that guy.
He'll be cruising up here to Brisbane soon for the premiere of Dominion on April the 5th.
And so, he'll also be on the Gold Coast for the premiere of that on the... I can't remember what date it is now. I've got tickets to it. I just can't remember what date now. But... It's a week or two later or something, I think. So
that's right.
Yeah. So I am gonna have to start winding up. And Paige has just put a link to her site with the cruise on it, so that's excellent. I wanted to ask you because we started earlier on tonight talking about Ecuador, and I was going to ask you what was your favourite vegan countries or cities? Did you have any that sort of spring? I mean, you mentioned. Let me just say, you mentioned LA was the vegan capital. Is that actually right? Is that yeah? I thought it was.
No, I don't know. Look, we interviewed Ken Spector from Happy Cow on our podcast show last year, and he said LA was definitely up there, but there was Poland.
Poland, it would have been
Poland.
Krakow. Yeah, Poland.
Wow.
And Berlin. Poland, Krakow, Poland, and Berlin, Germany were right up there with LA. Yeah, and obviously Melbourne is the vegan capital of the Southern Hemisphere.
Yes, yeah. But hey, the Gold Coast isn't far behind.
It's pretty crazy. It's a better vegan scene eatery-wise on the Gold Coast than it is in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can contribute all of that to me because I just can't stop eating. And as my demand is not diminishing, they've had to keep opening more vegan places to keep me happy.
We'll have to put you on a tour, Harry.
Have to put me on a diet.
Actually, we saw you at the last pig screening, and you were chowing down on some good vegan food there. I remember that.
Yeah.
You were inhaling it.
That's the way I eat now. So do you have what's your favourite vegan country or city? Do you have a favourite?
Thailand. I'd say Thailand as a country, and probably Chiang Mai as a city.
It's just so easy. No, there are so many options. It's so easy. You can put a vegan anywhere in Thailand, and the beauty of it is, unlike here in the West where you need regulation and permits and $1 million to open up a food stall. There, you can just open anything anywhere. So they have sweet corn being boiled on the side of the road, sweet potatoes. There's fruit everywhere. There's always rice, of course. And it's just very, very easy.
And it's the same from south to north. The whole country, I think there's like 76 provinces or something like that. It is easy peasy to be vegan.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So I reckon we could talk all night. I'm absolutely thoroughly enjoying talking to you guys so much tonight. But
and us Harry.
But they call it the vegan hour for a reason. There's only 60 minutes in an hour. So I'm going to start winding
to an hour, Harry. You should see our podcasts. They just go on and on.
So was there anything you'd like to share that we haven't, any areas that we haven't discussed tonight that you'd like to share before we close for the evening?
Oh, no, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, I just want to say to you, Harry, thank you very much for inviting us on the Vegan Hour. Thank you for creating the Vegan Hour to create and enhance vegan community. Very, very important. As you said, it's what's going to see us create the world that we all want to see and wish to live in. Thank you to everyone who's joined the live stream tonight. It's so wonderful to see familiar names and read your comments. Great connecting with you on this platform as well. Let's keep going, guys. 2018 is the biggest year thus far. Let's keep the momentum going and let's do this thing.
Let's do it with people like you. I mean, wow. I feel so damn inspired now after talking to you guys tonight. And that's what I get personally from doing the Vegan Hour is I get inspired by having such amazing guests like yourselves on. So all the thanks to you guys for taking the time to speak tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. There's a couple of comments just coming up there at the end saying, Tim says, see you in the US. I'm excited. Happy dance. Fiona says, great company. Thank you all. And Paige says, great to hear you both. Love you guys. And she also said the best comment of the night, Harry is awesome. I'm a fan. I might be a little biased in that one. And I'll leave the money on the fridge for you for that one, Paige. Now, I just want to say that the Vegan Hour actually will be back in 2 weeks' time for episode 7 on Tuesday, April the 3rd, with my mystery guest. That simply means I've got a guest booked in and we're not quite sure if he can make it, so it might be someone else. Anyway, but it's been, once again, an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great rest of the evening. And also thank you to everyone that has joined us tonight and all the comments. And this episode of the Vegan Hour will be on my YouTube channel, which doesn't have anywhere near as many subscribers as you guys. And I've been on YouTube a lot longer, but it will be on my YouTube channel in probably tomorrow night or so. So, So thank you very much. And it's been an absolute pleasure. So,
thank you so much, Harry.
It's all ours, Harry.
Oh, God, we're not very coordinated.
I can't do it either. No, these won't join. You're doing well, mate.
Oh, yes. You rock it. That's great. Good on you, Tash. That's great. Thanks, guys. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
night, Harry. Night, all. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good night.